I typically get here 3-4 hours before, get our kit set up, make sure our feeds are coming through, to get prepped for the match, make sure everything's ready, nothing's going to break, basically.
Well, you say nothing's going to break. What kind of equipment are you using? I mean, what could go wrong?
It's typically something wrong with the feeds we're getting, something wrong with the ref mic, that sort of thing. They're the things that you just got to check up on beforehand. Our kit typically works all right. Software's okay. Sometimes a bit glitchy, but you just got to test everything beforehand and make sure it's all running smoothly.
So you're running software throughout the match. What are the main numbers, the main statistics and the data that you're trying to gather?
The main things we're going to get asked about are typically penalty counts, line-out numbers, penalties from line-outs, penalties from scrums. They're the things that will get asked, but we code a lot more live because our job really is to make sure that we can give the coaches more than they need after the game straight away. So we've got 4 angles for them, and all the line-outs coded, all the scrums coded, all the penalties coded, turnovers. Most of the things you can think of from a team perspective will be coded live and then passed over straight away. Then it's the following day, then the second day, when we start getting into more detail.
But when you say coded, what does that mean? Literally the number of the certain thing that's happened, those are the stuff you put together? It's
basically analysis software, and you'll see a timeline. So if you use software before, like not Photoshop, but Adobe After Effects, something like that. I don't know if people are familiar with that, but you have the footage and a timeline down the bottom, and you can see all the events on the timeline. So straight away I could look at all the line-outs, just double-click, look at all the scrums, double-click, that kind of thing, and then it'll have labels so you'll have a line-out, but then details of that line-out, so number of people in the line-out, whether he won or lost it, type of delivery, all that kind of detail. So
you can literally go as deep as you need to go.
Pretty much.
Information.
Yeah.
Let's talk about individuals then, because there are some people, Will Evans in particular, I always see him at the top of the charts, whether it's turnovers, whether it's tacklers. Who are the people in the Quinn squad who keep turning up at the top of the specific lists?
Oh yeah, Will Evans, like you say, tackle machine, turnover machine as well, top of the Premiership at the moment for turnovers. If you're talking about line breaks, Don Brandt typically up towards the top. Marcus Smith's kicking average is right up there as well. We've got a lot of players now who are hitting top numbers within the Premiership.
And if there are people at the bottom of the list, do they come to you and say, "Oh look, can you massage these numbers, please? You're making me look bad"?
I do get asked questions about things, and typically I'm right. Or the way we code it, you got clear definitions about yes or no, whether it's good or bad. So typically the players, especially when they watch it back with us, they typically agree. There's normally a good reason why they might think that was or wasn't a tackle, but we're watching, myself and Harry Cole, my senior analyst, we're watching so many tackles and so many carries that we know what we're looking at. We're used to it. And
you do literally try and do as much live as you can. You won't watch the game back to try and correct.
Oh no, we do watch the game, yeah. So everything the day after is the individual stuff, because there's no way that as 2 people at a match we can code every single tackle for every single player.
So
we do that the next day.
It is just the 2 of you though. I mean, you wrapped up. Harry's up there in shorts and t-shirt like an absolute maniac.
I don't know what he's doing up there.
But the day after the match, is that when it gets really busy for you? When can you expect then to hear from players? And when do your statistics kind of come into play? Are they used then in the week building up to the next fixture?
Yeah, so the match stats we get finished and we hope to send out to the players around about 3-4 o'clock the next day. And that goes out to all the staff really that need to see it. It's not just myself and Harry, it's 2 interns as well that help us out. From the University of Chichester. Also the coaches do some stats as well, so I bring it all together and then make it look nice, and into a nice PDF that goes on our online system. And then in the week, so either a Sunday night there'll be a meeting online, as is getting more common nowadays with COVID, and we'll go through every player. Did they hit their targets? Where do they need to improve? And everyone will have the discussion points on that. But then, to be honest, for me, then I'm moving on. Then I'm 2 games ahead, so we've just handed in Newcastle stuff now to the coaches. So we've analysed everything on Newcastle for them to start looking at it with our data alongside it. So we're my mind's ahead of that now. So sometimes it's quite hard to compartmentalise where you're at because you come to a game today, and now obviously I'm thinking about today and what matters today, whereas then you've got Sale and then you've got beyond that, so you just have to stay, you kind of re-look at everything in the morning of the game to make sure you're on track. It is it's a slog, and I believe now there's going to be 13 teams next season, right? So that's an extra game to do, so that'll be interesting.
Extra game. Look, we love extra games. It means an extra Harlequins live, and hopefully an extra game to fill this stadium and to get some noise here and to get some fans here, which we're all looking forward to. In terms of you on a match day, then we had a little bit of a chat before we went live. Has it been different for you with the stadium being empty? Has it made it easier or more difficult? How has it changed your match day?
Yeah, I think for me it's strange really that it hasn't. I think the coaches are quite noisy, so we're sat there and there's a bit of a hype going around us. Like there's an atmosphere within our bubble almost. So when there's a try scored, I feel the same. I'm sure the players on the pitch don't get quite the same. When they look up and they look and expect to see the fans, they don't see them. But for me, I'm as happy as ever. I mean, I want the fans back in, of course. Yeah. I want them back in. That's what it's about. They make the club, but for me, I'm feeling the same when we win as I did when there were fans or with fans or without fans.
Well, I'm glad you're loving your work. I'm certainly loving your work, and everyone else is as well. Great to see Quins close to the top of the table, and some of those players too. So I'll certainly be keeping a keen eye on those stats. Hopefully, we'll get to have a chat a little bit later in the season as well, and maybe go into a little bit more depth. But thank you very much for your time, mate.
No problem. Cheers.